The princess, who spent her life in the relentless glare of the public eye, died in a speeding car in Paris, apparently trying to evade pursuing photographers.
The world watched in stunned silence as Queen Camilla entered the royal courts of justice in London, a moment that many thought impossible just weeks earlier. The investigation into Princess Diana's death, officially closed years ago, had been dramatically reopened following the discovery of new evidence that sent shockwaves through the British establishment. Now, in an unprecedented move, the Queen Consort herself was appearing before the special tribunal to address allegations that had haunted the royal family for decades. What would she reveal about that fateful night in Paris? The truth, it seems, was more complex and haunting than anyone had imagined. The shocking court appearance. The courtroom fell silent as Queen Camilla, dressed in somber navy blue rather than her usual royal attire, was sworn in. Gone was the regal confidence that had defined her public appearances since becoming Queen Consort. In its place was a woman who appeared to have aged years in mere weeks, her hands visibly trembling as she took her seat in the witness box. Judge Richard Harrington, specially appointed to lead this extraordinary inquiry, reminded the court that even royalty would be held to the same standards of honesty as any other witness. "Your Majesty," he began, his voice echoing through the hushed courtroom, "you have requested this appearance to address certain matters regarding the death of Diana, Princess of Wales. You may proceed." Camilla nodded, took a deep breath, and leaned toward the microphone. "Thank you, Your Honor. I appear before this court today not as Queen Consort, but as Camilla Parker Bowles, the woman I was in August 1997. I am here to acknowledge my role in the events surrounding Diana's death, and to offer an apology that I know comes far too late." The gallery erupted in gasps and murmurs, forcing the judge to call for order. The world watching on live feeds across the globe collectively held its breath. After decades of speculation, conspiracy theories, and official denials, was the truth about Diana's death finally going to be revealed? The confession begins. "I want to be clear," Camilla continued once order was restored, "that neither I nor Charles, His Majesty the King, ordered or planned Diana's death. That allegation, which has circulated for years, is categorically false." She paused, taking a sip of water, her hand still shaking. "However, I bear responsibility in ways that have never been acknowledged publicly, and which the previous investigations either missed or deliberately overlooked." According to Camilla's testimony, in the summer of 1997, she had become increasingly concerned about Diana's relationship with Dodi Fayed, and particularly about her plans to spend time with him in Paris. It wasn't jealousy as many have suggested, she insisted. It was fear about what she might reveal during this new relationship. Diana had always been unpredictable, and she knew things about the royal family, about Charles, about me, about arrangements that were made, that could have been devastating if made public. Camilla then described how she had reached out through intermediaries to several people who had been responsible for monitoring Diana's activities. Not to harm her, she emphasized, but to ensure we had advance warning of any potentially damaging revelations. The fatal chain of events. What followed in Camilla's testimony was a detailed account of how these seemingly routine surveillance measures spiraled into tragedy. According to her testimony, she had contacted a former security officer with connections to both British and French intelligence who had previously helped manage sensitive information related to the royal family. "I asked him to ensure that we knew who Diana was meeting with in Paris and what she was discussing," Camilla stated. "Standard monitoring, nothing more. But I learned later that this individual took more extensive measures than I had authorized." Camilla described how this security contact had recruited Henri Paul, the deputy head of security at the Ritz Hotel in Paris, to report on Diana's movements and conversations. Paul, who would later drive the car in the fatal crash, had apparently been pressured into cooperating through references to his history of accepting payments for information about hotel guests. "What I did not know at the time," Camilla continued, her voice breaking, "was that this operative had also suggested to Mr. Paul that it would be helpful if Diana and Dodi could be encouraged to leave the hotel through the rear entrance to avoid paparazzi, and to drive at a speed that would make photography difficult." The court sat in stunned silence as Camilla acknowledged that while there was no order to cause harm, her actions had set in motion the chain of events that led to the fatal crash. The instruction to Henri Paul to drive quickly while the paparazzi followed was a terrible miscalculation by people acting indirectly on my behalf. Miscalculation that had devastating consequences. The cover-up. Perhaps even more shocking than the revelation about the events leading to the crash was Camilla's detailed account of the cover-up that followed. According to her testimony, when news of Diana's accident reached London, her first call was not to Charles as had always been believed, but to this same security operative. I needed to know exactly what had happened and how directly it could be traced back to my inquiries, she admitted. What I learned horrified me. This wasn't supposed to happen. No one was supposed to be hurt. It was meant to be nothing more than monitoring, perhaps some subtle discouragement of her relationship with Dodi. Camilla described how within hours of the crash, a small team of officials had begun working to ensure that any connection between royal concerns about Diana and the accident would be eliminated from the official investigation. Certain files were removed from circulation. Certain witnesses were encouraged to adjust their recollections. The French investigation was subtly directed toward focusing exclusively on the paparazzi and the driver's blood alcohol level. She acknowledged that when traces of antidepressants and other substances were found in Henri Paul's system, this became the perfect explanation. One that diverted attention from any other factors that might have influenced his driving that night. I told myself it was necessary, Camilla said quietly. I told myself it was protecting the monarchy, protecting Charles, protecting the boys. But the truth is, I was protecting myself from having to face what my actions had inadvertently caused. The decades of silence. As her testimony continued, Camilla addressed the question that hung over the proceedings. Why come forward now, after decades of silence? For years, I believed the lie we had constructed, she explained. That Diana's death was simply a tragic accident caused by a drunk driver and aggressive photographers. I compartmentalized my role, minimized it in my own mind, told myself that my inquiries had been reasonable, and that the outcome was not my responsibility. According to Camilla, this carefully maintained psychological distance began to crumble following Queen Elizabeth's death and Charles's accession to the throne. Becoming Queen Consort forced me to confront the path that had led me there, she said. The weight of the crown makes it impossible to carry the weight of this lie any longer. She revealed that the final breaking point came when Prince William's children, particularly Charlotte, began asking questions about the grandmother they had never known. When William told me that Charlotte had asked him if the stories about Granny Camilla being involved in Diana's death were true, and I saw the pain in his eyes as he related this, I knew the time for truth had come. Camilla acknowledged that her confession was not entirely voluntary. According to her testimony, new evidence had recently emerged through a deathbed confession from the security operative she had employed, who had documented his actions as a form of insurance. These documents had made their way to the public prosecutor's office, prompting the reopening of the investigation. I could have continued to deny, she admitted, but the evidence would have emerged regardless, and I could not bear the thought of William and Harry learning the truth from court records, rather than hearing it from me directly. The apology. The most powerful moment of the testimony came when Camilla directly addressed William and Harry, who were not present in the courtroom, but who she knew would be watching. To William and Harry, I know that no apology can ever be sufficient. Your mother should have been at your weddings. She should know her grandchildren. She should have lived the life that was ahead of her. While I did not intend her harm, my actions contributed to creating the circumstances in which she was harmed. For that, I am profoundly, unforgivably sorry. Turning back to the judge, Camilla concluded, I accept whatever legal consequences this court determines appropriate for my role in these events and the subsequent concealment of the truth. I do not ask for forgiveness, as I'm not sure that would be possible. I ask only to finally tell the truth, for Diana's memory and for her sons. As she finished speaking, the courtroom remained in stunned silence. The woman who had become Queen Consort of the United Kingdom had just implicated herself in events leading to Princess Diana's death, and in the decades-long cover-up that followed. The constitutional implications were enormous, and the personal tragedy had been laid bare in a way few had thought possible. The aftermath. As the court adjourned to consider the extraordinary testimony, legal experts began debating the potential consequences. While Camilla had not admitted to intentionally causing harm, her acknowledgement of initiating surveillance that led to the fatal crash and her role in concealing evidence could potentially result in criminal charges ranging from conspiracy to pervert the course of justice to involuntary manslaughter. The immediate constitutional crisis was unprecedented. King Charles, who had reportedly been aware of Camilla's intention to testify but not the full extent of what she would reveal, was facing calls to address the nation. Palace sources described him as devastated by the revelations, but supportive of the truth finally being acknowledged. Prince William and Prince Harry, despite years of strained relations, were said to have spoken by phone shortly after the testimony concluded. No statement was immediately forthcoming, but sources close to both princes indicated they were processing the revelations with support from their respective families. Public reaction was explosive, with crowds gathering outside Buckingham Palace, some demanding Charles's abdication, others simply laying flowers in Diana's memory. The testimony had reopened wounds that had never fully healed in the British psyche, where Diana remained the people's princess even decades after her death. For Queen Camilla, the future remained uncertain as she left the courtroom under heavy security, no longer wearing the mantle of royalty with confidence, but instead bearing the weight of a truth that had taken 28 years to acknowledge. Whether this confession would bring closure or create a new chapter of turmoil for the monarchy remained to be seen. What was clear was that the fairy tale narrative of royal succession had been permanently altered by the queen who finally chose truth over the throne.
Great news here, where the big headline is, of course, that the royal baby is on the way. Prince William and Kate.
Big news just came out about Kate Middleton and Prince William, something huge that no one saw coming. For weeks, people have been wondering what's really going on, and now the truth is finally out. This isn't just any announcement, it could change everything for the royal family in a way no one expected. The palace has been quiet for a while, but now the silence is broken. What did they say? Why does it matter so much? And what happens next? Every detail of this shocking news is unfolding right now, and it's something the whole world is watching closely. The announcement revealed. Just a little while ago, the world heard some huge news from Prince William and Kate Middleton. The royal couple shared that they are expecting their fourth child. Yes, you heard that right. The Prince and Princess of Wales are going to be parents again. This surprise announcement has taken everyone by storm, and people everywhere are already celebrating. The announcement came through an official statement from Kensington Palace, which was also shared on their social media pages. The post read, "The Prince and Princess of Wales are delighted to share that they are expecting their fourth child. Both mother and baby are doing well. The family is grateful for the kind wishes from everyone." The palace also confirmed that Kate is in the early stages of her pregnancy and is resting at home with her family. Royal fans from around the world are now wondering when the baby is due, whether it will be a boy or girl, and what name they will choose. The buzz is real, and the excitement is growing every minute. The context behind the announcement. Many people are now asking, why now? What made them decide to share this news today? And honestly, the timing of this announcement is very interesting. For the past few months, there's been a lot of talk and worry about Kate's health. She had been away from public events for a while, and fans were wondering if everything was okay. Now, it all makes sense. Kate was likely resting and taking care of herself because of the pregnancy. Sharing the news today clears up all those questions and rumors. It also lets everyone know that she is fine, and there's a beautiful reason behind her absence. Also, this announcement comes right after a few major royal events. Recently, Prince William took on more duties on behalf of King Charles, who has also been dealing with health concerns. So, this news brings a bit of joy and light to the royal family during a serious time. If we look a little deeper, there may be a special reason behind choosing this particular time to share the news. Kate and William made the announcement right after Mother's Day celebrations in the UK. It feels like a beautiful way to honor motherhood and new beginnings. It's also springtime, a season that stands for new life, hope, and fresh starts. Maybe this was their way of spreading some positivity when the world really needs it. There's something sweet about the way they made this announcement. They didn't do a big press conference or call reporters. They chose to keep it simple and personal. By sharing it on social media and through the palace, they made sure the message came directly from them to the people. It shows how connected William and Kate are to the modern world, where millions of people wake up and check the news on their phones first thing in the morning. What this means for the royal family. Now, let's talk about what this means for the royal family. A new royal baby is always big news, but this one feels extra special. Why? Because it adds a new chapter to the future of the British monarchy. With Prince William being the next in line to the throne after his father, King Charles, every child he has becomes part of the future royal story. This new baby will be fifth in line to the throne, right after their big brothers and sister, Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis. Even though this baby might not be the next king or queen, they will still grow up as a major part of the royal family. Some royal experts are already saying that this baby will bring a fresh wave of love and attention to the monarchy. In recent years, the royal family has faced a lot of challenges: scandals, family rifts, and health worries. But babies always have a way of bringing everyone back together. A royal birth is something everyone, young and old, can celebrate. This also shows that Kate and William are fully embracing their role as the future king and queen. They're not just sitting back and waiting for their turn. They're building a strong, loving family that will support the crown in the years to come. Every time they step out with their children, they show the world that the monarchy is not just about duty. It's about family, love, and values. Kate, in particular, has always been known as the people's princess of this generation. She is loved for being graceful, kind, and down-to-earth. Her decision to have a fourth child at a time when the world is going through so much shows her strength and her belief in family. People look up to her, and this news will only make her even more loved. For Prince William, this is also a proud moment. He has often spoken about how important his family is to him. He lost his mother, Princess Diana, at a young age, and has always made it clear that being a good father is his #1 job. This new baby gives him one more reason to smile, and one more child to love and protect. The royal family will surely rally around Kate and William during this time. We can expect to see more of King Charles showing support, and even Prince Harry and Meghan Markle might reach out with their congratulations. After all, a new baby has the power to heal wounds and bring families closer, no matter how far apart they may seem. There's also talk that this new baby could change how royal duties are shared in the future. As Kate focuses on her health and the new baby, Prince William might take on even more public work. This could also open doors for younger royals, like Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie, to step in and help with royal events. No matter what happens next, one thing is for sure: the world will be watching. Every tiny detail, from Kate's baby bump to the baby's first photos, will be loved and talked about by millions. This child will grow up in the spotlight, just like their siblings, but also with the love and protection of a family that has learned from its past. The excitement is real. The love is pouring in. And once again, the world is reminded why the royal family holds such a special place in so many hearts. Whether you're a fan of the royals or not, you can't help but smile at the thought of a new baby bringing joy, hope, and a fresh beginning.
Buckingham Palace, which has announced that the King has been diagnosed with cancer.
Can't mimic voices for love or money. I'm completely hopeless at it. I was the only one, so I think she carved her own role.
Dark clouds have gathered over the royal family. Queen Camilla, always strong in front of the world, has been seen breaking down in tears after receiving shocking news. A life sentence that changes everything. The palace halls, once filled with power and control, now feel heavy with fear and uncertainty. At the same time, another heartbreaking update shakes the kingdom. King Charles, already fighting a tough battle with cancer, faces a new twist in his health that no one saw coming. The weight of it all is too much to bear, and the royal family is struggling to hold things together. What led to this moment? What does this mean for the future of the monarchy? The truth behind these shocking events is more heartbreaking than anyone could have imagined. Queen Camilla's alleged life sentence. The phrase life sentence is usually something we hear in courtrooms. It's a punishment for serious crimes, something that keeps people behind bars forever. So, when people say Queen Camilla has been given a life sentence, what does that actually mean? The truth is, Camilla is not in any legal trouble. She has not been sent to prison. Instead, this so-called sentence seems to be a metaphor. Many believe that Camilla is now trapped in a role she never truly wanted, facing endless criticism and public scrutiny. She has stepped into a position that comes with huge responsibilities, and it's weighing heavily on her. The rumors started spreading on social media and in tabloid newspapers. Some headlines made it sound like she was facing actual jail time. Others exaggerated her emotional state, claiming she was in tears and unable to handle the pressure. But where did this all come from? It seems that many of these stories were fueled by the ongoing debates about her place in the royal family. Some people still see her as the other woman from the past. Even though years have passed since Princess Diana's tragic death, the shadow of that history still lingers. Some tabloids thrive on this controversy, pushing dramatic headlines to attract attention. So, is Queen Camilla really serving a life sentence? Not in a legal sense, but emotionally, she might feel like she is stuck in a role that comes with endless criticism and expectations. Why Queen Camilla might be struggling emotionally. Camilla's journey into the royal family has never been smooth. From the very beginning, she was labeled as the woman who came between Prince Charles and Princess Diana. The world loved Diana. She was the people's princess, known for her kindness and warmth. So, when Charles's affair with Camilla became public, it was like a betrayal to many. Even after Diana's passing, Camilla was seen as a controversial figure. When she finally married Charles in 2005, many people still refused to accept her. And now, as queen consort, the pressure has only increased. Public perception of Camilla remains divided. Some have warmed up to her over the years, seeing her as a dedicated wife to Charles. But others still view her with suspicion. The comparison to Diana never goes away, and that can be emotionally draining. Imagine stepping into a role where millions of people constantly judge you, compare you, and question your worth. That's the reality Camilla faces every day. And then, there's the pressure within the royal family itself. Prince William and Prince Harry were deeply affected by their mother's story. While William has remained mostly respectful towards Camilla, Harry has been more outspoken. In his book Spare, Harry made it clear that he saw Camilla as someone who played the long game to secure her place in the royal family. These tensions, whether spoken or unspoken, add to the emotional burden Camilla carries. Now, with King Charles battling cancer, things have become even more complicated. She is expected to be strong, supportive, and ready to step up in his absence. But behind the scenes, she may be struggling with the weight of it all. Camilla's role in the monarchy becoming queen consort was never part of Camilla's original plan. When she married Charles, there were talks that she would only be called princess consort out of respect for Diana's legacy. But over time, Charles made it clear that he wanted Camilla to have full recognition as his queen. When Queen Elizabeth passed away in 2022, Camilla officially stepped into the role. But with that title came massive responsibilities. She is now expected to support the king, attend royal events, and uphold the image of the monarchy. Her transition from Duchess of Cornwall to queen consort was not an easy one. People still criticized her, questioned her worth, and compared her to Diana. She had to work extra hard to prove herself. Even now, she faces backlash whenever she makes a public appearance. Some believe she is undeserving of the title, while others feel she has earned her place. The question remains, does she feel trapped in this role? Some insiders suggest that Camilla never truly wanted this level of attention. She was comfortable staying in the background, but now, with Charles's health crisis, she is being pushed into a more central position. And with every move she makes, the world is watching. King Charles's cancer update. Just when the world was adjusting to the idea of Charles as king, shocking news came out. He had been diagnosed with cancer. The announcement was made by Buckingham Palace, but they did not reveal what type of cancer he has. All they confirmed was that it is not prostate cancer. The news left many people concerned. Charles is in his mid-70s, and health issues at this stage can be serious. He has already started treatment, but the palace has kept many details private. Medical experts have weighed in, saying that early detection is key, but without more information, it's hard to predict his recovery. The big question now is, how is the royal family handling this? How the royal family is reacting? Camilla has been by Charles's side, attending to royal duties while also supporting him behind closed doors. Some reports suggest that she has been under immense stress, trying to balance everything at once. Prince William has stepped up in his father's absence. As the next in line for the throne, he has taken on more responsibilities. His focus is not just on his father's health, but also on keeping the monarchy stable. And what about Prince Harry? His reaction has been one of the biggest talking points. After years of tension with the royal family, he made a quick trip to the UK after hearing about his father's condition. But the visit was short, and there was no sign of deep reconciliation. Many wonder if this crisis will bring the family closer, or if the distance will remain. The future of the monarchy, amidst health concerns. If King Charles's health worsens, what happens next? The answer is clear. Prince William is next in line, but is he ready? Many believe he has been preparing for this role his entire life. He is respected, responsible, and has the public's support. But stepping into the role of king is not easy, and with his father's illness, he may have to take on more leadership sooner than expected. The monarchy itself is at a crossroads. Public opinion about the royal family is changing. Some people still love and support them, while others question whether the monarchy should continue at all. Charles' illness and Camilla's struggles only add to the uncertainty. For now, the world watches and waits. Will Charles recover? Will Camilla find strength in her role? And will this crisis bring the family together or tear them apart? The royal family is facing one of its darkest moments, and the future has never felt more uncertain. With Queen Camilla in tears and King Charles's health hanging in the balance, the world is left wondering, what happens next? As more details unfold, this story is far from over. Stay tuned for the latest updates, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, so you never miss a breaking royal update. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
The presenters on every news channel were saying injured but expected to make a full recovery, and I have no idea why, but it made me so angry.
She stood there, shaking, her face twisted in disbelief. The courtroom was silent, too silent, except for the judge's final words, guilty. A gasp rippled through the crowd. Sarah Spencer, Princess Diana's sister, had just been sentenced for a crime no one thought possible, her own sister's murder. For years, conspiracy theories swirled around Diana's tragic death, but no one saw this coming. Sarah, once a quiet figure in the background, was now at the center of the most shocking twist in royal history. And when the verdict hit, she lost it, screaming, thrashing, complete chaos. What really happened behind those palace doors? How did Diana's own sister end up here? And most importantly, was justice truly served? Diana's relationship with her sister. Most people know Princess Diana as the sweet, kind-hearted princess who captured millions of hearts. But very few know the messy, complicated story she shared with her own sister. Yes, behind all the glitz and glamour of royal life, there was a hidden rivalry brewing between Diana and her older sister, Lady Sarah Spencer. What many people don't know is that before Diana ever met Prince Charles, Sarah dated him first. Shocking, right? It's hard to imagine. But there was a time when it was Sarah, not Diana, who was close to becoming a princess. They say Sarah and Charles met at a royal gathering, and for a short while, they dated. Sarah was charming, bold, and very sure of herself. Some people even thought she was perfect for Charles. But things didn't work out, and the relationship ended. Still, it left a mark, because Sarah was the one who later introduced Diana to Charles, and that, some say, was where the trouble really began. At first, everything looked normal. Diana was young, shy, and had never been in the royal spotlight. Sarah, being the older sister, probably felt protective. But the moment Charles turned his attention to Diana, things started to change. Suddenly, it was Diana attending royal events. It was Diana everyone wanted to talk to. And it was Diana's face on every newspaper. Can you imagine how that must have felt for Sarah? Watching your younger sister slip into the life you once dreamed of? The same man you once dated is now marrying your sister. The same family you wanted to be part of is now calling her princess. It wasn't just about love anymore. It was about losing the spotlight, losing the dream. Over time, the gap between the two sisters grew wider. There were fewer public appearances together, fewer family photos. People close to the family started whispering about jealousy, fights, and cold stares at private gatherings. Some even claimed that Sarah always felt like Diana stole the royal life that was supposed to be hers. Years went by, but that bitterness never really left. Every time Diana smiled for the cameras, every time she was praised for being the people's princess, Sarah's anger grew. Maybe she tried to hide it. Maybe she played along in front of the cameras. But inside, there was a storm brewing, and nobody, absolutely nobody, saw what was coming next. The shocking arrest, a twist. No one could believe it all started with a piece of breaking news that felt almost too crazy to be true. One quiet morning, the world woke up to headlines that left everyone speechless. Diana's sister arrested for involvement in Princess's death. Cameras rushed to Lady Sarah's estate. Helicopters flew overhead. Reporters screamed questions from the gates. And there she was, Lady Sarah, being walked out by police officers, handcuffed, her face cold and expressionless. No one could believe it. After so many years, after all the rumors and theories about Diana's death, it came back to her own family, her own sister. The same person who once shared toys and secrets was now accused of something so dark, so cruel, it was beyond imagination. People asked, why now? What changed after all these years? And then the truth slowly started coming out. Turns out a new investigation had been quietly happening behind the scenes. Technology that didn't exist back in the 90s was now being used to go over every detail of Diana's death. Old phone records were pulled. Witnesses who stayed silent for years finally came forward. One even claimed they heard Sarah making threats about Diana long before the tragic car crash. But what truly shocked everyone was the discovery of secret phone recordings. In one call, Sarah was heard saying things like, "She doesn't deserve that crown. It was supposed to be me." Another recording captured her talking to a mysterious man, hinting at a plan to end this once and for all. It became clear that Sarah wasn't just jealous, she was angry. Angry enough to plot something terrible. The prosecutors wasted no time. They painted a picture of a sister consumed by envy. A woman who watched her younger sister get everything she ever wanted. Love, fame, and the crown. A woman who couldn't stand living in that shadow anymore. They even suggested that Sarah had a secret affair with a powerful figure, someone inside the royal circle. This man, they claimed, helped her plan everything. Together, they made sure Diana would be out of the way, forever. Throughout the trial, Sarah never shed a tear. She sat there, stone-faced. No emotions, no regrets. The media gave her a new name, the Ice Queen of the Crown. And honestly, it fit. Because while the world cried for Diana, Sarah just stared ahead, cold and silent. The question on everyone's mind was simple. What finally cracked this case wide open? And the answer was just as shocking. A former royal staff member who had worked closely with Sarah finally broke his silence. He couldn't live with the guilt anymore. He handed over old letters, secret recordings, and even a diary where Sarah had written dark thoughts about Diana. With all this evidence, there was no turning back. The sentencing day. When everything fell apart. The day of the sentencing was like something out of a movie. The courtroom was packed. Reporters, cameras, journalists, all waiting for the final verdict. The royal family? Nowhere to be seen. Not a single member showed up. The silence from the royals was deafening. As the judge entered, the whole room fell quiet. You could hear a pin drop. The judge looked straight at Sarah and read the verdict. Guilty. You are hereby sentenced for your role in the unlawful death of Diana, Princess of Wales. And just like that, everything broke loose. For the first time during the whole trial, Sarah snapped. Her cold mask shattered. She stood up, screaming at the top of her lungs. "I did it for the family! You think she was perfect? She wasn't. She destroyed everything!" Her voice echoed in the courtroom. People gasped. Cameras flashed. Reporters scrambled to capture every second. But Sarah didn't stop there. She pointed towards the judge, her face red with rage. "You have no idea what she did. Ask Charles. Ask the royal family. They knew. They all knew." She tried to lunge forward, screaming that Diana deserved it. Court security rushed in, grabbing her arms, pulling her back. But Sarah fought hard. She screamed every secret she could think of, hoping the cameras would pick it all up. Ask them about the deals, the threats, the lies. This family is rotten to the core. The room was pure chaos. People covered their mouths in shock. Reporters couldn't believe what they were witnessing. Some say even the judge looked shaken. As Sarah was dragged out, still screaming, the whole world watched. It was a moment no one would ever forget. The courtroom may have closed, but the questions still remain. Was justice truly served, or is there more to the story? Diana's death has always been surrounded by mystery, and this shocking twist only adds to the uncertainty. What do you think? Was this the right verdict, or is there something bigger being hidden from the world? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And if you want to stay updated on more shocking stories like this, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications. There's always more to uncover, and you won't want to miss what's coming next.
You didn't believe she was dead?
For a long time. I just refused to accept that she was gone.
For years, people have wondered if there was more to Princess Diana's death than what the world was told. Many believe it wasn't just an accident, that powerful people might have been involved. Now, something shocking has come to light. Prince Harry has allegedly revealed a full list of names, people who may have had a role in what really happened that night. This changes everything. For so long, the truth has been kept in the dark, but now the doors to the past are opening, and what's behind them could shake the world. If these names are real, it means that Diana's death wasn't just a tragic event. It was something far bigger, something that powerful people never wanted anyone to know. But if this information is out, what happens now? Will justice finally be served, or will the truth be silenced once again? Prince Harry's struggle with the official narrative. For years, Prince Harry has struggled with what the world was told about his mother's death. While the official story has always been that Diana's car crashed in Paris because the driver was drunk and paparazzi were chasing them, Harry has never fully believed that. Deep down, he always felt there was something more. Something people were not saying out loud. In different interviews over the years, Harry hinted that he had questions. Questions that were never answered. He once said he didn't trust the people who carried out the investigation. It felt like everyone was too quick to blame the driver or the paparazzi, but no one ever looked deeper. Harry made it clear that even as a child, he wondered why his mother didn't have proper protection that night. Why were they driving so fast? Why was no one there to save her? His anger toward the media is no secret. In many of his interviews, Harry has shared how much he blames the press for his mother's death. He believes they hunted her like an animal, chasing her until the very end. He also feels the media never took responsibility for what happened. Instead, they wrote story after story, made money off Diana's tragedy, and moved on like nothing happened. Harry's book, Spare, gives us a closer look at his pain. In the book, he writes about how he used to ask his driver to go through the same tunnel where his mother died, hoping to understand how it all happened. That image alone shows just how much this loss has haunted him. And then came his Netflix docuseries, where he and Meghan Markle opened up even more. In one episode, Harry almost breaks down as he talks about how history was repeating itself. He saw how the media was going after Meghan the same way they went after Diana. That's when Harry said something that made everyone stop and think. He hinted there was more to the story of Diana's death. Something darker. Something the world still doesn't know. But the real question is, why now? Why would Harry choose this moment to leak the full list of people involved? Some say Harry has reached a breaking point. After leaving the royal family, losing his royal duties, and fighting endless media battles, maybe this is Harry's way of finally setting the record straight. He's no longer tied to the palace. He's no longer scared. Maybe for the first time in his life, Harry feels free enough to tell the truth. Or maybe it's because he now has children of his own. Maybe he looks at Archie and Lilibet and thinks they deserve to know what really happened to their grandmother. Either way, if this leak is true, it's one of the biggest royal bombshells we've ever seen. The alleged leak. Who is on the list? Now let's talk about the leaked list that everyone's talking about. Before we dive into the names, let's be clear, this is still speculative. It's not officially confirmed by any government or court, but the sources say the leak came directly from Harry or someone very close to him. The list is shocking. It includes powerful people. People you'd never expect to be connected to Diana's death. First, there are mentions of senior royal advisors. No specific names have been released, but words like high-ranking royal figures are being used. People who had a lot to lose if Diana married Dodi Al-Fayed. People who worried about how Diana's choices would change the future of the monarchy. Then, there are whispers of British intelligence agencies, especially MI6. Some reports say that MI6 was tracking Diana in her final days. They were worried about what she might reveal or who she might marry. It's a scary thought. But if true, it means her death was not just a tragic accident, but something far more planned. French authorities are also being questioned in the leak. Many people have wondered for years why the French police handled the accident the way they did. Why was the crash scene not secured properly? Why did it take so long for Diana to get to the hospital? Why were so many reports filled with mistakes? According to the leak, some believe the French authorities were either covering something up or were part of a bigger plan. The leak doesn't stop there. It also points fingers at media moguls and certain tabloid editors. These are the people who paid the paparazzi to chase Diana that night. Some of these media bosses had close connections to the royal family and the British government. Could it be possible that they were working together to silence Diana once and for all? And of course, we can't ignore Mohammed Al-Fayed's long-standing claims. Dodi's father has always believed that Diana's death was planned. For years, he said that powerful people didn't want Diana to marry his son because of their Muslim background. He believed they feared that the future King of England would have a Muslim stepfather, or even Muslim siblings. This motive, according to the leak, might be the real reason behind everything. It's chilling to think about. If this list is real, it means Diana's death was never about a drunk driver or a speeding car. It was about power, fear, and control. And now, with this leak, the world is being forced to look at everything all over again. The royal family's reaction to the leak. As you can imagine, this leak has sent shockwaves through the royal family, but publicly, they are silent. There has been no official statement, no press conference, just complete silence. It's almost like they're hoping if they don't say anything, the story will disappear. Behind closed doors, though, the royal family is probably in panic mode. This is not just another tabloid rumor. If the list is real, it puts some of the most powerful people in Britain in a very bad light. For King Charles, Prince William, and other senior royals, this leak could reopen old wounds and start new fights. Some experts believe that the royal family's no-comment strategy is their way of controlling the situation. If they speak, they might confirm the story is true. If they stay quiet, people are left guessing. But one thing is certain. This leak will make the already deep rift between Harry and his family even worse. There's almost no coming back from this. Potential repercussions of this leak. The big question now is, what happens next? What kind of trouble could Harry be in for leaking something like this? Some legal experts say that if Harry named people without hard proof, he could face lawsuits. He might be accused of defamation or breaking national security rules. There's even a chance his security could be taken away, leaving him and his family vulnerable. But it's not just Harry who could face trouble. This leak might force the British government to respond. People around the world are already calling for a new investigation into Diana's death. If that happens, the royal family and many powerful figures could be dragged into the spotlight once again. For the monarchy, this leak is a nightmare. Their image has already been damaged over the years, from scandals to royal exits. And now, this? The very foundation of the royal family, trust, honor, and duty, is being questioned. If the public starts to believe that the royals had a hand in Diana's death, it could change everything. What does this mean for Prince Harry's future? With everything that's happening, one can't help but wonder. What does this mean for Prince Harry? Is this the final straw? Is he done with the royal family for good? Some people believe this leak is Harry's way of burning the last bridge. Maybe he knows he can never go back. Maybe in his heart, he feels that telling the truth about his mother is more important than being part of the royal family. But there's another side to this too. Some say this leak could actually bring Harry more support. People who lost faith in the royals might now see Harry as the only honest voice in a family full of secrets. This could be his moment to finally break free and create his own legacy. One that's not tied to the crown. Still, this is dangerous ground. If the leak leads to legal action or threats, Harry could lose everything. His royal titles, his protection, even his connection to the UK. But knowing Harry, maybe he's already accepted that. Maybe, for him, the truth about Diana is worth any price. And who knows? Maybe this leak will finally push the world to demand justice for Diana. Maybe, after all these years, her death won't be just another tragic story. Maybe, because of Harry, people will finally get the answers they've been waiting for. The truth has a way of coming out, no matter how hard people try to bury it. If what Prince Harry revealed is real, this could change everything we thought we knew about Princess Diana's death. But the big question remains, will justice finally be served? Or will those in power do everything they can to keep it hidden? Make sure to stay updated, because more shocking details could surface at any moment.
Everyone says that babies change so much over 2 weeks. We're basically sort of monitoring how they changing.
Prince Harry never expected this day to come so soon. A strong man, always standing tall, now left in tears after seeing something that changed his world. His children, Archie and Lilibet, have grown in ways no one saw coming. The little ones he once held in his arms are no longer the same, and the change hit him harder than anyone could have guessed. As a father, he dreamed of giving them a happy and peaceful life away from royal rules. But now, something about them is different. Something so powerful that it brought out emotions he couldn't hold back. Those who know him say they've never seen him like this before. What really happened to his children? And why did it move him to tears? The truth behind this moment is something no one expected. The unexpected moment that touched Prince Harry's heart. It was a normal sunny afternoon in Montecito, California, where Prince Harry and Meghan Markle now live with their two beautiful children, Archie and Lilibet. Far away from the noise, the paparazzi, and the royal expectations, the family has built a peaceful life, simple, quiet, and full of love. But sometimes, even in the most ordinary days, life surprises us with moments that hit right in the heart. And that day, Prince Harry found himself standing still, his eyes filled with tears, watching his children do something that he never expected. What unfolded in front of him wasn't dramatic or grand. It was simple, pure, and deeply emotional, the kind of moment every parent lives for but can never predict. It was a moment that reminded Harry of his mother, Princess Diana, and everything he had left behind in his royal life. It was the kind of moment that made him realize maybe all his tough choices were worth it after all. Archie's unexpected act of kindness. That afternoon, Archie was playing outside, his little feet running around the garden, chasing butterflies and laughing freely, the way children should. The sky was clear, and the air smelled like fresh flowers. Meghan sat nearby, watching her children, while Harry stood at a distance, smiling. For once, there were no cameras, no flashing lights, just family. Suddenly, Archie stopped. He spotted something that made him pause. A tiny bird, fallen from its nest, laying helpless on the grass. The poor thing looked weak and scared, fluttering its tiny wings, but unable to fly. Most children might have ignored it or called out for help. But Archie did something no one expected. Slowly, carefully, Archie walked over and knelt down next to the little bird. He looked at it with the softest eyes, full of concern, as if he could feel the little creature's pain. And then, in the sweetest voice, he whispered, "It's okay, little bird. I'm here. Don't be scared." He reached out his small hands but didn't touch, just staying close, letting the bird know it wasn't alone. Harry watched this unfold, and his heart ached in the best way possible. Right there, in that moment, he saw his own mother. Princess Diana was known for her kindness, her ability to care deeply for the most helpless. She used to comfort the sick, hold the hands of those everyone else ignored, and always chose love over everything else. Watching Archie, Harry felt like his mother's spirit was right there. Not in some big royal event, but in this small, beautiful act of kindness. He couldn't stop the tears. They filled his eyes and rolled down his cheeks because he knew Diana would have been so proud. Lilibet's beautiful surprise. And just as Harry wiped his tears, trying to steady his breath, another surprise came. This time from little Lilibet. Sweet, curious Lilibet, named after Queen Elizabeth's childhood nickname, was sitting nearby watching everything. She stood up, her little hands brushing down her dress, as if preparing herself to say something important. She walked over to where her father stood, and in the softest, most innocent British accent, she asked, "Daddy, isn't it beautiful?" She pointed toward the garden, where flowers were blooming and birds were singing. Her voice was light, graceful, and carried a certain charm that caught Harry off guard. What struck Harry the most wasn't just the words, but the way she spoke, with a poise that seemed far beyond her age. Even though Lilibet was born in America and had spent all her young life away from the royal palace, there was something undeniably royal in that moment. Her gentle accent, her careful words, it felt like a piece of his heritage. Something Harry thought his children might lose by living so far from home was still there, alive in her. Harry looked at Meghan, who smiled softly, her eyes sparkling with pride. They both knew they had tried hard to create a life that was free from royal pressure. But hearing Lilibet speak like that, it was as if their past and present had met right there in their garden. Why this moment moved Prince Harry to tears. For Prince Harry, this wasn't just another afternoon. This moment, simple as it was, carried the weight of everything he had ever felt. His love, his loss, his dreams, and his fears. Seeing Archie's kindness reminded him so strongly of Diana that it almost felt like she was watching them. It was like she had passed her best qualities on to her grandson without even being here. That thought alone was enough to break Harry's heart open, but in a good way. And then Lilibet, with her royal grace and soft accent, brought Harry right back to his roots. It reminded him that no matter where they live, or how far they are from the palace, his children are still part of that history, part of that royal bloodline. But what made him cry wasn't pride in their royal status. It was the realization that his children were growing up carrying the best parts of that legacy: kindness, empathy, grace, not the duty or the heavy expectations that had once crushed him. Harry had spent years struggling with the pain of losing his mother, fighting against the royal system, and trying to protect his family. There were days when he must have wondered if he made the right choice leaving the royal life behind. But that day, watching his children, he got his answer. His tears were not of sadness but of relief, pride, and overwhelming love. Meghan Markle's quiet strength. In that moment and through it all, Meghan stood by, watching her husband and her children with a knowing smile. She didn't say much, but her pride was clear in her eyes. Meghan has been Harry's anchor through so many storms. She helped him break free from a life that was breaking him. She gave him the space to heal, to be the father he always wanted to be. Together, Harry and Meghan promised each other they would raise their children differently, with love, freedom, and emotional safety. No royal duties, no strict protocols, just kindness, honesty, and respect for every living being. That afternoon, they saw the result of that promise right in front of them. Meghan must have felt a rush of emotions too, seeing her children so naturally embody both their American upbringing and their royal roots. It was a perfect balance, and it showed her that they were doing something right. Their children were growing up strong, kind, and full of love, everything any parent could wish for. The unspoken connection to Princess Diana. As Harry stood there, tears still fresh in his eyes, one thing became very clear. His mother was still with him. Not physically, but in spirit. Through Archie's empathy and Lilibet's grace, Diana lived on. Harry had always feared that by leaving the royal family, his children would lose that connection. But in that small moment, he realized they hadn't lost anything. Instead, they had gained something even more precious. The freedom to be who they truly are, while still carrying the best parts of their history. There was a time when Harry was just a little boy, walking behind his mother's coffin, trying to stay strong. He had lost her too soon, and that pain shaped him. But now, as a grown man, he was watching his own children grow, not in the shadow of pain, but in the light of love. The beauty of choosing love over royal duty. That moment in the garden was more than just about a bird or a sweet British accent. It was about what truly matters in life: love, kindness, empathy, and family. Harry chose to leave everything he knew behind to protect his family. He faced judgment, criticism, and hate. But that day, watching his children, he knew it was all worth it. Because in the end, titles and crowns don't matter. What matters is raising children who know how to care for others, who speak with kindness, and who aren't afraid to show love. That is the real legacy Harry wants to leave behind. Not the royal throne, but a family that heals the wounds of the past.
The princess, who spent her life in the relentless glare of the public eye, died in a speeding car in Paris, apparently trying to evade pursuing photography.
August 31st, 1997. A night that shook the world. A princess, a car, a tunnel in Paris, and then silence. But before that tragic moment, before the flashing lights and the chaos, there was something else. A message. A final warning. Hidden for years, buried beneath rumors and speculation. Now, for the first time, the truth comes to light. What did Princess Diana say at 35 just before her untimely death? And why does it send chills down the spine even today? The chilling final message. Have you ever had a strong feeling that something bad was going to happen? A feeling so deep that you couldn't shake it off? Now, imagine writing that fear down, putting your worst thoughts into words, only for them to come true in the most tragic way possible. That's exactly what happened to a beloved public figure, a woman admired by millions, a woman who was once part of a powerful family, but later became their biggest problem. 2 years before her shocking and untimely passing, she wrote a message. A message that still haunts those who read it. A message that seemed to predict her own death. So, what exactly was in this letter? What did she write that made so many people believe she knew she was in danger? The letter was addressed to someone she trusted, a person who had been by her side for years. In it, she made a terrifying claim. She believed there was a plan to get rid of her, not in an obvious way, but in a way that would look completely accidental. She wrote, "I am sitting here today, feeling afraid. This phase of my life is the most dangerous." Then came the most chilling part. "There are plans for an accident in my car, brake failure, a head injury. It will be done to clear the way." Think about that for a second. She wrote those words 2 years before she died in a car crash. And what was the cause? A serious head injury. Does that sound like just a coincidence? Or was she warning the world in advance? Why did she write it? Now you might be wondering, why would she write something like this? Was she just being paranoid? Or was there something going on behind the scenes that the public didn't know about? By this time, her life had already changed completely. She was no longer part of the family she once belonged to. The marriage that had made her famous was over. She was no longer the quiet, smiling figure the world had once adored. She was speaking out. She was sharing secrets. And more importantly, she was becoming too powerful. People still loved her. Maybe even too much. She had a voice, and the world was listening. And that made her dangerous. She told close friends she was afraid. She felt like she was being watched. She believed her phone was tapped. She even told her personal security that if something ever happened to her, people should question it. Now stop and think for a moment. How often does someone say, "If I die, don't believe it was an accident"? That's not something a person says unless they truly believe they are in danger. And she believed it. She had seen what happened when someone got in the way of the powerful. She had seen how things were controlled, how stories were shaped, how problems were made to disappear. And she had become a problem. She wasn't just another face in a famous family anymore. She was bigger than that. She had built a name for herself, separate from them. She had the love of millions, and she used that influence to do things they didn't approve of. And once she started speaking up, the whispers began. Tensions with the powerful and the watchful eyes. Her relationship with those in control had started off well. At first, they embraced her. She was young, beautiful, and perfect for the role she had been given. But over time, something changed. She was no longer following the script. She was no longer doing what was expected. And that was a problem. She knew too much. She had seen too much. And most of all, she wasn't afraid anymore. She once told a friend that she found hidden devices in her home, that her calls sounded different, like someone was always listening. And she even said that her car had been tampered with before. And if that wasn't disturbing enough, she once asked a member of her security team a terrifying question. "Are you going to kill me?" Just let that sink in. A woman, once loved by the world, asking the people who were meant to protect her if they were planning to take her life. These were not the words of someone imagining things. These were the words of someone who felt the walls closing in. And then, 2 years later, her nightmare became a reality. Diana's last days. Princess. Diana's final days were filled with love, happiness, and fear. She was in love, but she was also being watched. She was trying to live freely, but she couldn't escape the cameras. And on the night of August 30th, 1997, everything changed forever. Diana had spent her last summer with a new man, Dodi Fayed. He was the son of Mohammed Al Fayed, the owner of Harrods and one of the richest men in the world. He was charming, wealthy, and deeply in love with Diana. Together they sailed through the Mediterranean on his luxurious yacht. Photographs of them kissing and holding hands were on every newspaper and magazine cover. To the world, it looked like a fairy tale. But was it? Diana had always attracted attention, but now, the media obsession had reached a dangerous level. Paparazzi followed them everywhere. Every move she made, every moment of her private life, was caught on camera. Some believe that this media frenzy was just because of her fame. Others think it was something more. Diana was a woman with influence. She spoke against landmines. She challenged the royal family. She was seen as a threat by some powerful people. Was she being followed just for pictures? Or was she being watched for something else? On August 30th, 1997, she and Dodi arrived in Paris. It was supposed to be just another night. Instead, it would be her last. Diana hated the paparazzi. They had chased her for years. They had broken into her privacy, snapped pictures of her crying, followed her even when she tried to be alone. But in Paris, things were worse than ever. Outside the Ritz Hotel, where Diana and Dodi were staying, a swarm of photographers waited. They had followed the couple from the airport. They had watched them enter the hotel. They were waiting for them to come out again. Diana was used to this, but this time, it felt different. She had once told a friend, "I think they are going to kill me one day." Was that just a fear? Or did she know something we didn't? Diana and Dodi didn't want to stay at the hotel that night. They wanted to go to Dodi's apartment, a short drive away. But with all the photographers outside, they needed a plan. So they tried something desperate. They decided to use a different car, a decoy, to throw off the paparazzi. The plan was simple: make the media chase the wrong car while they quietly left from the back entrance. It should have worked. But it didn't. The last journey of Princess Diana. At around 12:20 a.m. on August 31st, Diana, Dodi, and their driver, Henri Paul, left the Ritz Hotel in a black Mercedes-Benz S280.